Welcome back. We're talking with Highland Park's Mayor Glenda McDonald. She's been on the job for 120 days. So I'm just thinking now, 24 million. You have another debt with the Great Lakes Water Authority.
Yes.
And that has to be paid as well.
If the court orders that, yes.
Okay. Okay. So that's playing out in court.
That will play out in court.
Okay.
I assume.
Right.
I'm not the lawyer.
Right. Right.
You know, I do run the city. I do hear what's going on, but right now we're dealing with what's at hand with the 24 million at hand.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. All right, let me move to education here. The state of education in Highland Park, just lay it out for us. You said you had education is your background.
Yeah, I was educated for 32 years. I just retired to become mayor. Over the last, since 2012. 2012, the school district was shut down under emergency management. It was restructured as a charter district. It was a pilot program between Muskegon Heights and Highland Park under a emergency management law, and that meant that all schools in Highland Park would become charter, and all schools in Muskegon Heights at the time would become charter. Okay, so we had 7 emergency managers during that process. The school district did emerge out from under emergency management. There's still a debt owed to the state. We still cannot get our public school system back at this time. They are doing a great job of trying to get the debt paid so that they can return to a public school entity. So we have 3 charter schools in Highland Park, 3, that's trying to do the best that they can. A lot of our citizens and children have fled the city. You know, they're taking their children to other places. Thus why we probably are losing, you know, numbers, because you got to have a viable school system. You got to have a school system that people can depend on. Yeah. And, you know, there's been a couple of different management companies under the school district that under the public school academy that the school district authorized. So, you know, that's kind of inconsistency, but they still there, and their school's still there. And so if that debt, again, which might not be that much from what I'm understanding now, could be, you know, eliminated so that we can start growing our school system back, I'm quite sure that would help with the growth of Highland Park. The goal is to grow Highland Park enough that we have tax base that we can pay things that we need to pay. And
if you don't have a functioning school system, it is not going to work.
Right. And as long as there's not consistency and people are not safe in believing that the schools would be here. I grew up in Highland Park. I'm a Highland Park alumni, okay? And so I know that that's consistency, that I was going to go to a Highland Park school and graduate and then go on. I even went to the college. But now that is no longer a thing. It's like, okay, my kids will go here to the 8th grade, but where do they go for high school? Or where do they go for here? Do I keep them there? This kind of thing is not consistent, and this is how we have dropout rates, because kids get to the point where they feel like they're being pushed around or moved around, and it's not something that they want to get into, you know. So we need consistency in Highland Park.
What role do you see Lansing playing in this?
As far as the
school?
Oh, well, they can play a bigger role. They can play just like we're asking about the water so that we can grow. We're asking about our school system. If we can get our school system back under the control of the Highland Park School Board, which they do have, but they're authorizers. They play a role of authorizers right now, as well as paying back the debt. But they don't operate any public school. If we can get our public schools back under the helm of the school board, I think that we can continue to grow this city. We can grow this city. We have to grow our city. And in order for us to do that, the state needs to be able to help us with those things.
Yeah, you feel that the city is actually bleeding economically by not having a functioning school system, because nobody's going to move into a community that doesn't have, you know, a functioning school system.
It's a trickle-down effect. It's a trickle-down effect. If you know, everybody wants their children to be in a school in the area they live in. I remember getting up, going to work, and seeing kids at the bus stops at 5 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's dangerous. Although their parents were there, some were walking, you know. A school should be in the school district that they live in. They should be able to have neighborhood schools. Neighborhood schools. Yes, do we have enough students there at this time? I think we have enough for one at this time, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think they would grow. I think I really would grow if that was the possibility. And I know that our superintendent of schools for Highland Park, I know that she agrees with that we can make this happen.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot in there because we're only putting the water debt issue on the table, but the educational equity is also an important issue. I mean, again, it's, you know, Benton Harbor was the educational crisis, and then the lead water crisis and so forth. But with Highland Park also, you have the McGregor Public Library that has shut down.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's you know, some people say it's even unconscionable to have a city that doesn't have a library. I mean, that's something, you know, and I've written columns in the Detroit News, in my columns in the newspaper about this, that it doesn't take much it won't take much, in my opinion, to resurrect that library. With the right support.
With the right support, we can move forward. We're going in that direction.
The governor can lead a campaign with foundations to open that library.
You know, so I think that there's a lot they need to do and look at, and the library is a very important piece in our city. A lot of people grew up in that library. A lot of people wanted their children to grow up there. The library has been shut down since 2003 under emergency management. That's the truth. The emergency managers shut it down. And so I think that the state should be able to help us rectify that. And, you know, we need to bring the library back in order for children to have something that they can believe in their community. To have to go to Detroit Public Library, have to go to the libraries in the school that they go to in Detroit, Southfield, wherever they go to school at. Why can't they have that in their city? Our children are being disenfranchised. And I'm just going to switch real quick, say, the water issue affects our children. They can't come to school and not have lead in their water. Yeah. They, you know, this whole issue all revolves around the same thing. It all goes hand to hand. Education, water, it all goes hand in hand. Our children need to be able to get up in the morning, take a bath, do whatever they need without being in lead water, if that's the case. I know we've tested not to have lead so far in the test, but all of it goes together. The generations coming up in the city of Highland Park now, what do they have to look forward to? The city is being built for them over the next 10 years. It's being built for the next generation. What do they have to look forward to?
But if nothing is being done, if nothing is done to support Highland Park, then it's what city are they going to expect?
Exactly. And that's the point. They're not going to expect anything from Highland Park, and they're going to move to a city that they see flourishing. Why does that have to happen? I have children who went to the military, decided they're not coming back. Highland Park didn't have anything for them. I have grandchildren, some grown, some not, that live across the country. I want to see them in Highland Park. I want to see them walk those stairs of that library and open those beautiful doors that's behind there and see what I saw. I want them to be able to go to a school in Highland Park and learn the things that we know they're capable of learning. I want them to be able to drink fresh water. Yeah. You know, I want our city to grow.
But even as you're speaking about this growth for the city, and I've been hearing this and talking to some folk, the housing stock in Highland Park, that there are folk who are coming in buying houses. They're not in the area. They're somewhere in California, New York, and so forth, just buying houses in Highland Park and waiting for someday. You know, what's your take on that?
Well, yeah, we do have people buying them up, and they're waiting. They're just waiting for the city to grow and so that they can see a new Highland Park. Right. I think that the people in Highland Park or people coming to Highland Park that live right here in the state, in the city, should be able to look at those stocks But when you don't have something for them to look
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
how do you invest in a city that has water problems? How do you
Yeah.
invest in a city that has school problems?
Yeah.
But believe it or not, we have quite a few people who's ready to invest and build and want to see the city grow
Right.
in a way that will be productive. And if we get that opportunity and we can get rid of this water debt and our schools can be helped, Highland Park will be the place that Highland Park was once before.
And
Well,
of
it
course,
won't be the same thing, but it
Yeah.
definitely will be.
and public safety is also a big issue as well.
We're growing our police force. We're hiring. It's hard to compete. I think that's across the state, across the country. Everybody is having problems with that. But we have been able to hire a few new officers since I've been in office. And we have quite a few. We've been vetting officers and looking into getting more every day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're looking to see what Lansing is going to do as it relates to Highland Park, and how much check are they willing to come to Highland Park with, because I remember Martin Luther King said on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial that we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt.
Right. Right.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
All right. Highland Park's newly elected mayor, Glenda McDonald, here on Sunday Nation. We'll be right back.